Space Live. I'm Keith Avalon from Play Games, Sam tonight. And we're going to have our Play Games Town Hall meeting. Instead of playing a game or demoing something, I considered not calling it a Town Hall meeting because that sort of has, serious undertones these days. It's a Town Hall meeting. And this is really not that serious. This is not anything crucial or critical. I'm looking at the number of viewers there, and it's like, wow, people are expecting some kind of, bombshell announcement. None of that's going to happen tonight. We're just going to kind of get you caught up with what we've been doing the last few weeks, how we're dealing with the virus crisis, and what's been going on in our workshop, what things we've been working on, and figured it'd just be good to talk about what we're doing.
Move the mic a little closer.
Oh, that's right. I moved this microphone back because I was playing basketball on this table here a little bit ago. We'll talk about that in a minute. We would like this to be interactive, but understand the limitations of a YouTube stream. Number one, you got the lag time. So, if I say something, it's like a 15-second delay before anybody can respond to it. And secondly, it's kind of tough to kind of read through the comments as they scroll by. So we're going to encourage you to, if you want to post a quick comment or a quick question, feel free to do so. If you want to talk amongst yourselves, that's fine too. And we'll suggest that for like extended questions or comments, thoughtful responses to anything we might say tonight, you might want to send us an email, and the email address is info@play.com. So that's the setup. Let's get rolling. We'll start with things that we're working on right now, and we talk about how we're doing in the virus crisis. I'll tell you one thing: I'm getting a lot of work done. So, I guess that's a good thing. We have finished. I finished a couple days ago the Cooperstown Pioneers cards. Awesome set, and it's being proofed right now. We're going through the proofing process, making sure that'll be ready. So we will probably. I think we originally talked about putting that out in April, and then at some point it got moved to June around convention time, and now I think it's looking more like it will probably be sometime. Late April, early May, sooner rather than later for the Cooperstown Pioneers. We will also include in the Pioneers, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do this, but we created the cards for the 3 new members of the Hall of Fame, which should be in the Legends set, Derek Jeter and Ted Simmons and Larry Walker from the Rockies. So there are going to be cards for those 3 players that will go with the Legends, and I guess we'll include them with the Pioneers. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but I guess the default plan is to include those 3 guys with the Pioneers. Doesn't kind of make sense, but that may be how we do it. And then, of course, we'll add, as the Hall of Fame adds new people, we'll create new cards for them. I'm also thinking about, now that we got the Pioneers done and the Legends, I thought, I was looking over the ballot, the ballot of who made it in this year and who didn't make it in, and some of those guys are not going to get back on the ballot. I was thinking, maybe we make a Cooperstown Hopefuls set, or a Cooperstown Close Calls, guys that didn't make it in, but who had pretty memorable careers anyway. We could have a third set based on those players, which would be kind of cool. So that may be coming for 2021. But the Cooperstown Pioneers are finished. We're just proofing them, and they'll be out sooner rather than later. Also just finished working on the 1984 Pro Season for Red, White, and Blue Racing, another collaboration between me and Jerry Minks. It's a great set. Darrell Waltrip, the hard luck guy who won the most races, but had a couple of bad finishes and wound up 5th in the points. Anyway, it's another classic season. Jerry, was a NASCAR fan even at that point, and really kind of watched this season as it went down in real life. So he's got a lot of great insight. So it's a terrific set, and it is finished. We're doing the final proofing, and that will be available. I don't have a release date on it, but it'll be within the next few weeks. We finished the 2019 Pro Season for Bolorama. A couple guys are play testing it. And that will also be made available sometime soon. It's a fairly large set. 72 bowlers are in that set. We'll also have a supplemental set of with generic cards and of different abilities, which you can then plug in with guys that bowled only a couple of series or a couple of events. I think the Pro Bowlers Tour had, I want to say like 500 bowlers on it last year. Most of them bowled a couple of events. So you'll get the 72 guys that bowled, significant amounts of time. Cold Snap Express is also finished. It is really mostly proofed. We're just kind of really what we're waiting for with the Cold Snap Express is finishing the 2019 CFL season. I will start work on that next week, and that should be done within the next couple of weeks. So we're right on target for an early May release for Cold Snap Express and the 2019 Canadian Pro Season for Cold Snap. And as I mentioned, I've been working on basketball. We did the broadcast, the stream a few weeks ago about where we were with basketball, and had a lot of time on my hands. Well, a lot of indoor time. So I've been working on some of the things that I felt really needed to be addressed. And I'm really encouraged. I've been making some good progress on it. I'm still not going to say, where this game's coming out and here's when. But I will say we're closer to that point now than we were 30 days ago. We'll probably do another basketball stream at some point, summertime-ish. So that's what's going on with Play games. Once I get done with the Canadian Pro Football season, I'll start working on second season, the NFL season, and that'll take us pretty much on into the summer. Play Now, of course, has been pretty active. Really excited about the response to Aviatrix 37. Record number of downloads. Thanks to everybody who's ordered the printed version of the game. Digital version will be available for free for another couple of weeks. A lot of people are posting and playing, and it really looks great on social media. When people take pictures of the game and the various cards and things. So really excited about Aviatrix 37 and the response that it's gotten. Thank you all for jumping on that bandwagon. I know it's a little bit different for a lot of guys, but in some ways it's as we talked about in the debut stream for that game. It does have a lot in common, I think, with sports games, and so. I'm really pleased that people are making the connection. We're wrapping up our Big Fury 6 Tuesday night Fury football series. Another thing that we're really excited about. It's been so much fun to do, and we've gotten so many great emails from folks too, from who are kind of enjoying it. It's kind of filling that void of real sports where you actually get teams you can cheer for and sort of the drama of a season unfolding. We're heading into the final week of the regular season, which will be we'll play the early game probably Monday. That'll be the big fun and the twang, and then the two second games will be basically playoff games. We'll post on the Play Now page tomorrow the different playoff scenarios for Big Fury 6 and get you up to speed on that. But it should be a pretty exciting finish to the season. And we'll stream we'll probably do a doubleheader Tuesday with the two final games of the regular season, and then we'll move on to the playoffs the week following. We're excited to announce that Demo Derby Smashdown, our Demolition Derby game, is going to be returning as a Play Now game on April 27th. That's just a couple weeks from now. Just submitted the print test run to the printer. Should have it back next week. We spiffed up the game boards, added some color. I don't know if a lot of people may not realize the Demo Derby game for the last, 5 or 6 years we've put it out as a holiday special. We've been printing from hard copy masters. The original files for that game were lost in 2013. They were created on the old Mac that I had. We actually got that Mac in 1995, and I used it for almost 20 years. And toward the end, it just began to, it was just not salvageable. And so eventually it did die, and with it went the files for the original versions of the Play games. Most of them I'd converted to digital format by hand on newer computers. But the thing was, that computer, the storage device was a floppy disk. So there was no you could save the work, but there was no way to translate it to a newer computer. I actually went down to Micro Center with the hard drive and said, "Look, can I get the files off this somehow?" And they did extract them for Demo Derby Smashdown and Crash and Scramble and all those old files that I created 20 years ago. But when they transferred it to the hard drive, it was so ancient that it came up on the new hard drive as just gibberish. So basically, the files were just unsalvageable. So when it died. And we've been printing the Demo Derby game charts and stuff and cards from hard copy masters. So we have actually reconstituted the game boards, and since we were doing that, we added some color. They really look fabulous, and so we're excited about the latest edition of Demo Derby Smashdown. We will have that available starting April 27th. We're going to continue the Tuesday night extra bonus stream as long as we're stuck in our houses. When they lift the quarantine, then we'll probably end the Tuesday night stream. But as long as people are under house arrest, as I like to say. Let's provide some extra content, and we're going to continue to do the Tuesday night stream, and we're going to switch to, once the Fury football is done, we're going to switch to a Demolition Derby like Championship Cup series. It'll be patterned along the lines of NASCAR. With point standings and a series of events, but we'll also add an element of reality TV to it, where we'll start with, right now we're leaning towards starting with 16. It might be 20 or 24, but bottom line is, each week the bottom point total people will get kicked off the Derby, and it will be a shrinking field of contenders until we get to the final week, in which we'll determine the points championship. Should be about another 6-week season, and that'll be starting up as soon as I believe the week after the Fury Football Championship game on the Tuesday night YouTube stream. We'll also have 2 new driver card sets for Demo Derby Smashdown that are going to come later this summer. One of them is going to be a hoot, and I don't even want to. We just laugh about it when we talk about it, but I think you may appreciate. I think you will appreciate. I think most people will appreciate it. It should be pretty entertaining. And then we're also going to have like a City League Demo Derby set where you can, blank names. You can insert the names of your friends or relatives or whomever, kind of like the City League cards for Bolorama. Then after Demo Derby Smashdown, we're planning to reintroduce First Contact Your Town as a Play Now game. That'll be June-ish. And then just in time for the convention, we'll bring back Fury Hardball in digital form, as we did around Christmas time, and also an all-new boxed and printed version, which is going to be super fantastic, and new teams. And we'll also introduce a Fury Hardball playmat. So all that's coming right around the convention time for Fury Hardball. We haven't forgotten about Fury Hardball. We also have a new Play Now game that we're working on that I just want to throw it out there, that we're working on something completely new, and I think it's pretty cool. And if we can get it to come together, we might be playing this game here before the end of the year. I mentioned the convention, and one of the events of the convention will be a Fury Hardball. We're going to have a Fury Night as part of the convention, where there'll be some people will be playing Fury football, some people will be playing Fury Hardball. It'll be like a furious sports evening, and probably a good thing that we talk about the convention right now. Still hopeful. I'm still optimistic that we're going to be able to gather end of July at the Highlands Ranch Hampton Inn by Hilton. But here's the thing: we have to make a decision to commit to it. I mean, we can't just wait till a week before the convention and say, well, I guess we're going to be able to hold it. We've got a lot of preparations that have to be made. So we're looking at a June 1 at the latest decision, probably more like Memorial Day weekend decision as to what we're going to do about the convention. And if things are still up in the air and it's like, I don't know, then we'll have to go to plan B. If by then, of course, by then, Memorial Day, we might all be, might be returning to normal, in which case, I mean, the hotel. I have spoken with the hotel, and they say that they have other events booked in the event hall and in the hotel, and they say that people that have events scheduled for after May 15th are still planning on doing them. So, at least from that perspective, that's encouraging. But we will have to make a decision what we're going to do about the convention as of probably Memorial Day weekend. Now, if we're unable to hold a convention at the hotel, we have been thinking about contingency plans. We talked about basically, I think our main thought was, well, if we can't have the convention, we'll give people a choice. Either get their money back for the Play Pass, or they can apply it to store credit. And then we began to think of like a third option, because we did our survey of the convention goers about what they wanted, in terms of how would they like us to direct our resources. And the clear leader was an enhanced swag bag. So we've been making plans to put some really good stuff in the swag bag. It's going to be, the best ever. And so we thought, well, maybe we just amp up the swag bag, fill it with, unique, one-of-a-kind stuff that you can't get anywhere else, and give people the option to take that, instead of a refund of their Play Pass. And then we got to thinking, well, maybe we have like some sort of, online stuff that we might do alongside that. And then got a great email from Jay Williams, who was he and his sons, Silas and Judah, were part of last year's convention, and he was, of course, very supportive. And he also is is going to a different convention, or has made plans to attend a convention in Louisville I think it's Louisville, but basically that has been canceled because of the coronavirus. But they are going ahead with their convention anyway. So they really had no choice because they'd already invested all the time in the materials and the resources, and so they weren't really in a position to be able to refund everybody's money. So instead, they're doing it like virtually. They're making a virtual convention. And Jay suggested maybe we would consider doing that for PLAAY.con if it came to that. And so we are considering that fourth option as well. We would amp up the swag bag as we talked about. Maybe not quite so much as we were thinking, but if that was going to be it. But we beef it up. We mail the swag bag to people a couple weeks before the convention, and it includes like stuff that sort of lays out the organization of how we're going to do it online. Maybe some online access codes for meetups and Zoom rooms and things like that. Maybe we hold tournaments where people can either play head-to-head via Skype or Zoom, or maybe people play their own game and submit, kind of like what we do with the IPFC, the Canadian Football League co-op that we have going, where people play their game and then they submit it into a central collection point to have the stats and add everything up. We could do like a cooperative project, something like just shooting from the hip. Maybe we do a red, white, and blue. We get 30 guys that want to play red, white, and blue racing, and each of us runs a race with the same pool of drivers. And then we, submit our race results, and we have a champion at the end of the weekend. And maybe there's like a pick'em aspect of it where you get to pick the top 3 drivers, and the person that comes closest to the actual top 3 points leaders will get a raffle prize or something like that. Just ideas that we've thought about really in the last 24 to 48 hours. We could also do some panel discussions online. We could do the game mods panel we were planning on doing. We could do a panel on card creation, or I could do a panel on game design. So there are things we could do virtually. So I guess that's the main thing we're interested in here. Talking about collecting information from this is is there interest, or would there be interest in making the convention virtual if it came to that, or would it be better just to say, you know what, we'll just shoot for next year? So if you have some thoughts on that, please do let us know, because we're interested. And again, we will have to make some sort of a decision by the end of May. Let's talk about video content. You're watching the YouTube channel right now, and we appreciate that. We have been putting a lot of time and energy into our channel, trying to make it compelling content. We want to build an audience, but it's been slow going, to be honest with you. Look at the views. You can look at the views for each video. It's public knowledge, and you can see kind of a stagnant number, sort of. It sort of gets to be diminishing returns. Here's the trend that we see as we see it. We will do something new, and it will get great views. People will, it'll bring a bunch of people into the room. They'll watch it, and then so we'll do that same thing again the second time, and it's not so many people that time. And then we do it maybe a third time, and the trend kind of continues downwards. So the clue that we get from that is the secret seems to be doing new things. Because when if we do something new, something that we've not done before, we generally, get a good amount of interest in it. So we would like to know if you have any ideas, suggestions about new things that we might do. Something you might suggest that that we've never done before. And again, you could post it here, or you could send us an email, info@play.com. But we really want to have a YouTube channel that is vibrant, alive. We want it to be like must-see TV. Now we're not I'm not Jimmy Fallon. We're not entertainers, so to speak. But we would like to have content that people want to see. So that would be the second thing we'd like to consider, or have you consider, is what kind of content do you find yourself making it a point to tune in for? What kind of content do you find yourself saying, I gotta mark my phone or my watch so I don't miss that, or I missed it, I can't believe I missed that. What kind of content creates that response in you versus the kind of content that makes you say, I could probably miss that. I'll watch that later. That might be interesting. I'll watch it later. So where's the delineating point between, I got to watch that, and that would be helpful for us to know in terms of video content. Next subject is suspended sports seasons. Obviously, this presents a big problem for sports game companies when professional leagues, discontinue their season, cancel them, or suspend them. I guess it's not as big a problem for us as it is for them, but it is still a problem. And every sports season that was in progress back in March is now, canceled, basically, or suspended. I guess NASCAR, I was looking on the NASCAR site, they are steadfastly saying that they have just postponed these races. They're planning on running a full race schedule starting in May. So maybe they'd be running NASCAR races in December. I don't know. But basically, all sports have been shut down. And, who knows if they're ever going to get back, frankly. I mean, one day it seems like, we're going to get out of this tomorrow. And then the next day it's like, we could be doing this for years. Now, I know some small press game companies, I'm not familiar with what, the big guys, Stratomatic and Appa, are doing, but I do know some of the smaller press guys have already released like seasons based on the partially completed seasons for the EPL or the NHL or the NBA. And I frankly, I'm kind of ambivalent about that. And just to be kind of candid about this, we'd like to know what the interest level is. I mean, the true interest level is for these partial season sets that are based on not completed seasons. Now, I know most people want to be supportive of the hobby and say, "Oh, I would love to that. I would love to have that. I want to know that. I want to know how this team would finish. I want to play at the whole Rangers season or whatever, But politeness aside, I do wonder what the interest level is. The key things. Here's the key thing for us. Some of the card sets we make are just barely worth making in terms of the interest level they generate. Some sets we make anyway, even though they don't reach that level. I mean, the 2019 Pro Lacrosse season. I'm talking to you. Some sets we make because we want it. We're committed to our games and we want to make the sets, but they don't really make a lot of sense in terms of the amount of interest they generate. And there are a number of sets that we make that are right on that borderline that are like, I guess we'll make it again this year. So the question remains, okay, what is the response? What's the typical response going to be for a partial season set? Is it going to be, oh man, I'm so bummed that the Penguins didn't finish their season. I gotta finish it out on my tabletop to see how it turns out. I'm more likely to buy this set than a regular set because I gotta know how it's gonna turn out. Or here's my chance to play out the season and that I didn't get to watch on TV. There's that possible response, and if that's the response, then great. It will make our decision very easy. However, if the response is like, disappointed the NHL season got canceled. Oh, well. God, that's so silly. Well, I'll just go back to my 74-75 replay. And, hopefully it'll start next season. I mean, if that's the attitude, then some of those, I guess what I'm saying is some of those sets that are right on the cusp, if it goes this way, great. It's worth our time to make that set. If it's going to go this way, though, it's like, I don't want to waste our time making stuff that people really aren't that interested in. That's the key thing. We really, especially now, have to devote ourselves to watching our resources carefully. Carefully devoting our time and energy to things that are going to have the most interest level. We can't afford to be making spending a bunch of time on card sets that nobody really cares about. So if you're not that interested in cards for unfinished seasons, that would be helpful for us to know. If you are very interested in card sets for unfinished seasons or projection sets, we talked about making a projection set for History Maker Baseball based on, career stats or whatever. If you're highly interested in that, that is also helpful to know. If you're ambivalent, I'm not sure that that's that helpful. In fact, it may be, I guess it is helpful information, but it would tend for me to interpret that as, a reason not to do a set if people are just ambivalent about it. So your input on that is welcome. One housekeeping item. I got a couple emails asking for a list of real-life wrestlers on which the Wrestling America Federation cards are based, specifically the decade sets. those cards are not based on real life wrestlers anymore. I've explained this in a couple of emails, but this is as good a place as any to mention it. They are based on wrestling archetypes from the period. So, for example, the '70s sets got the the drill sergeant, they got the cowboy and the Indian, and the Soviet guy. They're based on archetypes of personas that were common in professional wrestling. Now, this is basically as of the 2017 Wrestling America Federation. It's always been true for the Wrestling America Federation Legends cards, but it's specifically true for the current Stars cards. In 2015, we made the switch from using, we just made the decision, look, it's not worth the legal risk to use names of real names of real wrestlers because they're not real athletes. They're not. I mean, they are real athletes. What I mean is, it's not a sport. It's entertainment. It's not a true sport. It's entertainment. So it doesn't fall under the umbrella of licensing like a baseball star or a football star's name would. So we just felt like it wasn't worth the risk to continue to do this. So at that time, this was 2015. At that time, I'd already created the 2015 current stars based on real life wrestling, and I thought, well, I'm just going to change all the names and make them similar, and we'll offer this set. I put all this work into this set. We'll just offer this set with fake names, not real names. So then when and of course we do the Wrestling America Federation set every 2 years. So when the 2017 season came around, then it was like, rather than, well, first of all, if you remember in 2017, we made some big changes with the Wrestling America Federation. First of all, we reduced the size of the set to make it more manageable. So it went from like 144 cards down to 72 cards. And second of all, we reintroduced the wrestler icons, the look of the original Face to the Mat card sets. So when we did that, it was like, well, we're really not locked into real life anymore. There's no reason why we have to try to, see how John Cena, how's his standing in 2017. It's our own universe. So at that point, we started diverting into just like our own wrestling universe. So there is some overlap. I mean, some of the stars from the 2015 set are still part of the 2021 set. I'm thinking of Triple G, who is of course based on Triple H, and John Kent, who was originally based on John Cena. But what I'm saying is those guys are no longer based on those real wrestlers. They've kind of taken on a life of their own. They're not tied to what the real wrestlers are doing. And of course, the legend sets have always been completely their own people. So, just to make that clear, the Wrestling America Federation cards are not based on specific real wrestlers. Rather, they're based on wrestler personas and archetypes. And I guess the last thing I've got on my list of things to talk about is the Decider dice. Some of you may remember our Kickstarter campaign in 2014 to have the Decider dice manufactured. If you're part of History Maker Baseball from the beginning, you remember the little clear red Decider dice with the stick-on dots that began to fall off after heavy use. So we had the actual real Decider dice manufactured, and we did a Kickstarter campaign for it. And we had 5,000 Decider dice made. Well, believe it or not, we are actually starting to run out of Decider dice. We're under 1,000 left, and a good percentage of those that we have left are purple and orange, which don't really match up that well with some of the game palettes. And of course, these are manufactured in China, so there is a lead time of about 6 months, 6 or 7 months to get them. So we estimate that we will need to order these Decider dice within the next 60 days in order to have enough to hold us over. The option that we would like to get some input on is this. Instead of doing a Decider die like we did last time, now we have been talking about in those terms with our manufacturer, just doing the same thing, just another 5,000. With the dots on 3 sides and blanks on the other 3 sides. However, one option that we have considered and we'd like some input on is we're kicking around the idea of doing a Fury die instead of a Decider die. And the idea would be you still have the 3 sides with the dot on it, so it would be consistent with the History Maker games and the other games that used the Decider die. There would be 3 sides that had dots on it. You would have 2 sides that had a square and 1 side that has a triangle. If you've played Fury football, you understand the code for those symbols. So the idea would be the Fury die could be used in the History Maker games as a decider die with the dots. You just have the 3 sides that would, rather than being blank, they would have symbols on them. Our question would be, would that seem weird? Would that be something to be like, I could get used to that. There would be an upside. The upside, there's a couple of upsides. First of all, we could use those dice in the Fury games. Second of all, we could develop new games centered around the Fury dice. Third, we could potentially adapt certain ratings mechanics for the games we currently use in the sports side to incorporate the different symbols. For example, you might have, I'm just brainstorming here, just shooting from the hip. You could have a batter who's a home run king with a triangle. The rest of the time he's normal. You could if you did that, you could potentially zero the stats down even more so than they currently are. But maybe it's too weird. So if we had some input on that would be helpful. We can't do both. We can't get a bunch of decider die and a bunch of Fury die. That's it's just too expensive. But we could do one or the other. So if you had any thoughts, if you don't have any thoughts on it, that's fine. If you do have thoughts on it, though, we would welcome them. So that is my list of stuff to talk about, and Sam was instructed to pass over any kind of questions that might be thrown at us through the chat, but apparently there weren't any major ones. So
I think we're just going to do it over email.
Okay, email works better. Email really does work better because then you can compose your thoughts and you can keep them private. And I can compose my thoughts. Give me a little time, though. I might not be able to respond to all the emails, in my customary promptness. So give me.
Please do email.
But please do email. info@PLAAY.com. Okay, so Fury Football returns Tuesday night. We will have a double header. I'll post the Fury Football playoff scenarios tomorrow on the Play Now space, and then share it with the Play Games community. And then the Thursday after that, what are we doing that Thursday? I don't remember what we're doing next Thursday.
Next Thursday, we don't have plans next Thursday.
Don't have any plans next Thursday. We're still open. We'll figure that out when we get there. Sorry about that. But thank you so much for watching tonight and for being part of our community. We appreciate each one of you, especially now. It's been great to kind of connect with people on a little deeper level, with, who have maybe more time to play games than when they didn't have before. And to share the burden, commiserate a little with you and pray for you and just know that we appreciate you being there, and we're glad that you're part of the community. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Have a great Easter weekend. We'll catch you on Tuesday on the Fury Football stream. Till then, good night.